Joining us now, Senator David Perdue from the great state of Georgia. He has been a long and strong Donald Trump supporter. He joins us now from Capitol Hill in the Russell Rotunda. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you guys.
Senator, tell me what you think the state of the presidential race is. Is Donald Trump favored, underdog, or toss-up?
Well, I tell you, I think he's touched a nerve in the electorate. Voter turnout was up over 60% this spring in the Republican primary, and I lived that same thing back in 2013 and 14 in my race in Georgia. And I think he's touched a nerve out there that's not going away. As a matter of fact, I don't believe these national polls right now either way. I think there's a lot of noise in the system. And quite frankly, a lot of the intensity behind Trump's support really doesn't show up in the polls. So I actually think he's got a chance to win this thing. I do think it's going to be close in some battleground states. But I think the high ground is the lack of performance of the Obama administration and the fact that Hillary Clinton is really offering no change in direction. And the people want that more than anything else. We were sold hope and change 8 years ago, and neither happened.
So when you say he's got a chance to win, can I take from that you think he's still the underdog in this race?
Well, look, I operated every day in my race as an underdog, and I know this guy. He's a fighter, and he's operating every day as if he is an underdog. But I tell you what, my prediction right now is he's going to win big. I really believe that this is bigger than Donald Trump. It was bigger than me. This is about the direction of our country. And people are now realizing that the direction that we're taking right now is failing. I mean, this is the weakest economic recovery in over 70 years. We've got right now the growth, GDP growth on a compound basis in the last 8 years is under 1%. People are hurting out there, struggling to get from payday to payday. And a lot of times these polls, and the way we look at that in Washington is through the lens of the Washington establishment, sometimes misses that, and that, I think, is what's going on right now.
Senator, you're a former CEO of a Fortune 500 company, right?
Right.
So today I'm going to ask you about a story in the Washington Post about Mr. Trump, which suggests that in his business, when he was facing some legal problems, that he agreed to make charitable donations to make those lawsuits go away and use money from his 501c3 charitable foundation to make those donations. Would you consider that proper behavior on the part of a private businessman?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure I can accept the premise of the question. I mean, if those things were true and they go through a court and then he's convicted, obviously that's a problem, but that hasn't happened yet. You know, we've got the same thing on Hillary's side with, she was in a government position, taking personal advantage of a government position. So those are serious allegations. You know, the real issue right now, in my mind, is people in America want to see a direction for the country. They want to have hope again. And right now, we're not seeing that out of the Hillary campaign. I mean, honestly, we're talking about economic changes here that are increasing taxes, more regulation, smaller military. I mean, these are things that really bother people at a time when they see a crisis globally in this national security crisis, but also here at home economically. I mean, this debt is a very real issue right now where we've seen no solutions from the Hillary camp.
Well, Senator, I'll stay with that point. I know you're a deficit hawk and you don't like the debt. You just mentioned that a second ago. There's not a single nonpartisan analysis of Donald Trump's tax plan that doesn't suggest that it would add trillions of dollars to the national debt. So just make the case for why the Trump tax plan is acceptable to a deficit hawk like you.
Well, I tell you what, I'm excited about it as a first step. If you get this economy going, that's one of 4 or 5 things that has to happen. And what he's talking about is tax reform, pushing back on regulations, and unleashing this energy boom that we've been given are great first steps. I'd love to see us move to a repatriation tax elimination as well, but we've got to deal with redundant agencies, we've got to deal with saving Social Security and Medicare, and arresting the spiraling nature of health care costs that I think he will begin to address in this campaign. So I think as a first step, I'm very excited about it.
Senator, whether you've given private advice to the campaign or not about the debate, give us some advice here publicly. What should Donald Trump do? Don't change a thing. What should he do to win the debate?
I don't think he's changing anything. I think right now if he goes in there and takes the high ground that he's taking right now, and that is to address the failures of the Obama administration, to talk about the fact that Hillary Clinton is going to double down and give us a third term, and frankly talk about the hopes and aspirations of America and how they've been disappointed, how the liberal progressive movement of a Barack Obama administration and now of a potential Hillary Clinton administration have failed the very people they claim to champion. If he does that, it doesn't matter what the questions are, he'll come out on top on Monday.
Give us an example of a question you'd like to see Lester Holt ask Hillary Clinton in the debate.
How do you put people back to work? She's got no experience doing that. He's hired tens of thousands of people, created thousands of jobs in the real world. That's what I ran on. Look, he's had not a perfect career. Nobody has a perfect career, but I'll tell you what, he's had to survive in the free enterprise system. He knows how to fight. He knows how to fight for people, and he said that. I want an American president who'll stand up for national interest and American interest and create a level playing field around the world, both in a national security perspective, but also in an economic perspective. And he'll do that. And I think that's going to become clear as we go through the next 7 weeks. You know, guys, it's 7 weeks from today, as hard as that is to believe. But I'm optimistic that you're going to see this intensity that's behind the Trump campaign grow over the next few weeks. The ground game is taking force in my state and other states, and I think North Carolina, New Hampshire, Colorado, you're going to see a lot of increased activity there.
I got one last question for you, Senator. I know you've expressed some disappointment that your fellow Republicans have not unified more fully behind Mr. Trump. Just what do you think explains that? Why is it that the party is not unified, and why there are so many holdouts and critics of the party nominee?
Well, I hate to be blunt, but I think it's self-interest versus natural interest. We've got a stark contrast in two different directions offered by Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I don't understand any Republican, any conservative Republican, thinking that a direction of Hillary Clinton would be better than a direction of Donald Trump. It's time to really put our big boy pants and big girl pants on and step up and tell the American people a better way. And that's what they're hoping for in the next 7 weeks.